Snydog is in there. It's his middle name. But we are two parts of the people that make up the All Dodgers podcast here on the YouTube. Like it, subscribe to the channel, all that kind of stuff. The more you like the show, the more the Dodgers are going to win. I think that's just science right there. We can't, we can't prove it, but just believe me. Sources say, trust me, bro. All right, enough BS.
So the opposite of science.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, listen. I'm riffing here. It's a good game. Good game for the Dodgers. You put some runs on the board, all solo shots, 4 solo shots. You get some guys, Will Smith hitting a homer in there. Good bounce back game for Robleski. A lot of stuff, a lot of moves before today's game as well. Guys, sound off in the comments. Let us know what you think about this team, what you thought about this game, all of that kind of stuff. Where you watched the game tonight, which was on Apple TV. But Jeff, good one. What do you want to talk about first, hitting or Robo?
Robo's the story here, bouncing back after that terrible outing against the Brewers. I think the Brewers are probably a better team than the Phillies, but I definitely don't necessarily think they're a better offensive team. They're definitely a different kind of offensive team, and the Brewers just contacted Robo to death. But Robo seemed to have figured out a way to tap into the velocity as a starter a little bit. It's not like he was throwing 98, 99 like he does as a reliever, but he was throwing 95, 96 even deep into the game. And he had 9 strikeout or what, 9? Did he end up with 9 or 10? I can't remember. 9 strikeouts in 7 innings. And he looked really good. It did seem, 88 pitches. He's gone over 100 pitches several times this year. So 88 pitches when he was, seemed like he was cruising, seemed a little early. But I would guess it has to do with the velocity, the fact that he was kind of bringing it a little bit more, not pacing himself as much as he sometimes seems to be doing as a starter. So to get through 7 innings on 88 pitches is awesome. Yeah. Keep the pitch count down, get through 7, get out of the game with a 3-run lead that the bullpen didn't really have any trouble holding down, and call it a night. So I thought it was a great bounce back outing from Robo after that debacle in Milwaukee. Milwaukee.
Let's go with Milwaukee. Bullpen
that.
Just Henriquez giving up the homer, and that's the second run the bullpen has given up in the last 50 innings. Second real run that
Henriquez wasn't a homer. He gave up a double.
Not the homer. Yeah. The runs. I meant runs. My bad on that one. Robleski's the guy who ended up giving up a homer. Of course, he gets to 5 no-hit innings, I think it was. And that's when you had texted me. Admittedly, I didn't have a lot of eyes on the game. But when you don't hear a lot of offense from the other team, you start to put some pieces together. And then, of course, because you messaged me about it, you spoiled it.
I didn't say the phrase no-hitter.
You did not.
No, nope. I said something notable, and that's approved language. I checked the AP style book. That is approved language.
Yeah, you're talking about the need for a bounce back. Somebody said in the chat earlier, I won't pop it on the screen because it has a foul word, but somebody said that he heard us talking shit. I don't think anybody was talking too much smack about Robo. I think all we needed was, or the messaging everybody had was, we want to see him get back on track. The last couple of starts had not been great for Robleski. He would tell you the same, and this is huge. And the Phillies, of course, have been on fire. That's a PH since making the switch from Rob Thompson to Don Mattingly. Cooled down a little bit since starting that, I guess, tenure on fire. They lost a couple of series last week, the first 2 series under Donnie Ballgame, but they got some sluggers. They got some sock, of course, with Schwarber. You saw a Schwarber bomb tonight. You're always going to see that. You got a lot of guys who could put a baseball out of the yard, but one of the things I had talked about on Dodgers territory yesterday, and I'm sure the boys, I didn't get a chance to watch it. I hear there was a lot of debate about the burger pyramid or whatever it was, the burger list between Kevin and Speegs. If you guys have any thoughts about that, go watch yesterday's and leave them a comment. Tell them all their burgers are wrong because there was not a Baconator on their lists. But even with the Phillies being better, their offense was still painfully middle of the pack. Where they were winning was with pitching, and then Dodgers got to one of their aces in Zach Wheeler today with 4 bombas. So we can move there. Final thoughts on Robo before I'm sure we'll bounce back and forth, but final thoughts on Robleski here, because again, this was a needed one in knowing that you still don't have Glasnow, you still won't have Snell for a good chunk of time. You needed somebody who's going to give you innings, and for him to reaffirm that the first month and change was the real deal, not kind of a smoke and mirrors sort of situation. And the punch, we got the strikeouts tonight. Something
and that's the
people have been worried about.
I definitely don't think Robo was listening to us, but I do think somebody got in his ear and said, look, this Milwaukee game was an example of what can happen when you don't have swing and miss stuff. So we know you have swing and miss stuff. We need to figure out how to bring it to you as a starting pitcher. It seemed like, and maybe it wasn't a conscious effort. Maybe he wasn't intending to do anything different, but the fact is he was throwing a little bit harder. He was, and maybe getting 3 strikeouts in the first inning gives you that confidence that, oh, this is working. I'm going to keep pounding, it builds on itself. But yeah, he will definitely be more successful. He doesn't necessarily need to strike out 9 and 7 innings, but you remember when we've talked about this before, his strikeout rate for the season was like 3 strikeouts per 9.
Yeah.
And that's not good enough. Somewhere in between 3 per 9 and whatever 9 and 7 innings per 9 is, 11-ish. Somewhere in between there is where he needs to be, and ideally closer to the higher end.
Yeah. This is everything about this is more steps in the right direction of Robleski proving that he has the chops to be a starter. He has maybe the what's the word I'm looking for here? The stat line, really, to be in consideration for the All-Star team, because a lot of people like to bring that up. ERA under 3. He's thrown a lot of innings of of Dodgers pitchers who generally, I guess they all throw a lot of innings, but they don't have a lot of accumulative innings because of only pitching, once a week, which Robleski's in the same thing. I don't know. Well, that's one of those things where if we're going to see fewer Dodgers potentially at the All-Star game this year, you could see Robo there, and this type of outing against a good Phillies team goes a long way. One final thought I had about it too is, they looked at the tape with the Phillies where they had been, where their offense had been kind of sparking them was with the long ball. I think they were like 4th in homers, something like that. I think like 4th or 5th in homers since Don Mattingly took over. Like, they had been living on the slug. So that's something where if you get a team that's trying to jump out and attack you, maybe hit something, Robleski and Mark Pryor and all of them, the game planning, they saw, all right, this is how we're going to attack him. And this is how you're able to get more strikeouts by, being nasty and throwing your fastball harder, but also take advantage of some dudes trying to jump on you because maybe that was the book on them. I don't know. A lot of things worked out very well. Great game for Robleski. Great game for Dodgers hitters, if you like the dub, because the dub, the slug equals the dub, as my friend D-Mac will tell you. Congrats, D-Mac. Finishes week number 2, I think, on radio, and it is funny hearing my boy sitting in my car, tuning into 97.1, and hearing Doug on the radio. It's always a trip. Love that guy. But I also love Shohei hitting a homer. I also love Muncy hitting a homer. I also love Freddie hitting a homer. And I love Smitty. I think of all of those guys. Having Will Smith hit a homer, trying to get Smitty back on track. Everybody's going to love the Shohei homer, but Freddie was before all of them today. Opposite field shot. I don't know that he's not in the category of, man, he needed that, but to get the Dodgers on the board early, get, a little bit of, get some run support for Robleski early. What'd you like about the Freddie swing?
Going opposite field. It was just a classic Freddie swing that the ball happened to carry a little farther. It was a Freddie double that he hit too hard, it was, so I like that when Freddie hits homers that are clearly still within his game plan. He wasn't up there swinging for the fences. It's like, I'm just going to hit the ball hard the opposite field, and this time it happened to go over the short wall in left field. Great, we'll take it for sure. But it could have just as easily been a double, and Freddie's done that a time or two. So I really like that one from Freddie. I also like the fact that the Dodgers homered in the first, second, and third innings. Then they didn't in the fourth, and they did in the fifth. They had a chance. Did you know they were 1 inning away from tying their record for most consecutive innings to homer from the start of a game? The Dodgers' record is the first 4 innings of a game. They did it twice, both in 2022. It had never been done. Then they did it twice in a span of about two and a half months in 2022, and then haven't done it since. But they almost did it tonight. The overall record, they didn't come close to. Back in, 2017, the Twins homered in each of the first 7 innings in a game against the Padres. You just did the blinking meme. I like that.
Yeah, they didn't do it today, so
no,
I don't think that's going to win people too many.
But they did it 3 innings in a row, which got me thinking about the record and researching it.
So you did the work, but it was useless. But you still wanted people to know that you had put this effort in.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not working for free here.
You know what? There we go. I respect that. Damn, I respect that. I want to get a couple of the people in the chat here. I had said that one. Our buddy Richie is at the game. He is a bobblehead fan before a Dodger fan. And he said he's still waiting there on the top deck. He didn't have Robo shoving for 7 innings on his bingo card. It's a power offense today. And yes, Clint, it's all about the bobbleheads. Oh, by the way, Jeff, don't read this because he says you're not going to read this. But
read what?
Exactly. Also, some love in the chat.
My camera's in the way.
Some love in the chat for you from the Duke of Sports, saying shout out to Jeff, a.k.a. Pop Pop, for the Dodgers radio broadcast option on Apple TV. That's where I was able to hear the amount of game that I heard with our friend Nelly and, of course, Rick Monday on the call. Always appreciate hearing those two. They are fantastic together. The Enigma.
And you got to hear Charlie Steiner for 5 innings, too.
Why I tuned in to Nelly.
Steven Nelson tuned in just in time to curse the no-hitter.
To ruin it. We got $4.99 on the super chat side of things from our friend the Enigma. Says it'll be 110 years. I'll be 110 years old when Los Angeles pitcher has a complete game in the regular season again. Yeah, that's something. He was at 88 pitches over 7. Definitely was not going to get the complete game there, but chances are you might not see one for a while. No, I think I'll call it now. We're going to have a complete game this year. Whether it's,
I think Yama's probably throwing one.
Yeah,
this
year.
Yama almost threw one last year. If he had, gotten Jackson Holiday out, he would have thrown his complete game / no hitter.
That game was needed though, because they were spiraling so bad. It won a World Series. That game, that awful game, that game where we did an emergency post game and you were just going to do it, and I was in my pool and I got so angry that I got out of the pool to come in here and join you and yell about that game. It was a good one. Go back and check it out, guys. It was a fun stream.
I have eternal sunshine to that game out of my brain.
Our favorite Kevin in the chat, Uhas, $5 from him. So stop yelling at us, Pop Pop. I was respectfully talking to people in the Discord. Please subscribe and join.
Yeah, some of these guys didn't realize we had gone live. They were still chatting in the Discord. So I hopped in and, yelled at them, said, hey, get to YouTube, dummies. One of them was not just everybody's favorite Kevin, but also Bad Take Kevin.
BTK
didn't know. He didn't read our text message saying we're going live right after the game, apparently, because he was just in there chatting away in the Discord.
Well, if he didn't read all of the words in the text and he was in Discord, that tells me he's drinking and his wife is probably out of town. Also, the Duke of Sports saying Kershaw needs to come to every home game for the rest of the year. Those are the rules. Yeah, Kersh, they're taking in a ball game in the owner's box. I mean, he is an employee of the team. He's got the eldest kids
Clayton
with
Kershaw
him.
Sitting next to Brad Paisley. I have never wanted to be in the middle of a sandwich more in my life. Like, it's literally 2 of my favorite people in the world sitting there next to each other, and I wasn't there.
You missed out. You done missed out. J.Y. Kim suggesting Wheeler must have been off tonight. Maybe the Dodgers were on. I mean, Shohei also chipped in 2 other hits, 3-hit game. Pa has with the 0 for there, looking over here, looking at our numbers. 6 hits, 4 of them left the yard.
Yeah, Wheeler only allowed 5 hits in 6 innings, 1 walk. So his whip was 1 tonight. It's just, it's kind of, when we've talked about being too reliant on the home run, and the point I've made many times is against a really good pitcher, your chances are a lot better of accidentally running into one and hitting over the fence than stringing together 3 or 4 hits. And so that's what we saw tonight. Wheeler wasn't going to give up 3 or 4 hits in an inning, but they put some good swings on. You hit the ball over the fence a couple times and you get your runs. Fact is, pretty much every good swing they got tonight, the ball went over the fence against Wheeler, which, I'll take it for sure.
Bold.
Shohei Ohtani was the only person with a single tonight for the Dodgers. There were 4 homers and 2 Ohtani singles. And that was it for the offense. And so, I like home runs because you get runs for them.
Yeah, I don't have too much more to really add about the game. I mean, it was for the.
Do you think you would have had more if you had watched it?
I mean, probably, potentially, but we talked about the important parts.
Probably not. This was like
it felt like a
fun game, but there wasn't. There was one play you didn't see, you maybe not have even heard about, an error on Kyle Tucker. It was a fly ball in the gap. The only thing that kept Robo from having a perfect game when Schwarber hit the home run, it wasn't breaking up a perfect game because of an error on Tucker, a ball that one of them should have caught. It probably should have been Pages calling off Tucker, but in the end, Tucker thought that Pages was going to get it, so he just at the last second stuck his glove out, got the glove on it, didn't catch it. Miscommunication in the outfield, and then later there was an almost miscommunication. Same thing, but this time Tucker stood his ground and caught the ball. So, if you're looking for something interesting besides the score, those two guys need to work on their communication a little bit. And they probably already had that conversation. And it's probably, again, like the Jackson Holiday home run, this might have been necessary. Make an error that ended up not hurting the team.
Cameras being wonky.
And ultimately, if that makes them work better together in the outfield in the future, good. It was worth it.
Yeah, I was say not much else with this game because it is currently 9:37. We've already been live for almost 20 minutes. It was a fast game. There's not a lot to talk about when the game is just a little over 2 hours.
2 hours and 22 minutes ago.
That's insanity.
And we are already this far into our podcast.
I love that. I love that so much. And that's just 2 really good pitchers. It's just the Dodgers happened to tag Wheeler a few more times. Somebody had it in the chat. I should have saved it. Even it's literally, the chat's going fast. So we appreciate you guys hanging out with us here in the chat. Y'all are awesome. You guys are the reason we do this. Otherwise, Jeff and I could probably just call each other and talk about the game. Which would be weird.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, that'd be weird. But somebody was talking about probably the bigger storyline heading into this series was the fact that this is an NLDS rematch, and most pundits, most prognosticators, people who talk about baseball and the playoffs and potential World Series contenders, they're going to talk about the Dodgers and the Phillies likely being teams that meet deep into October. And last year, the Phillies did not have Zach Wheeler, and the Dodgers handled them pretty handily. Not that Orion Kirkring helped them very much, but they had Wheeler tonight, and they still won. And this, again, it was just a ho-hum, very good 4-2 victory for your boys. If that was a big storyline, I maybe it's a little bit of a dud, I guess, if people wanted more out of Game 1, because it seemed to be a lot more Dodgers, which is going to really upset people.
Yeah,
or at least nationally, it's going to upset people.
The game was closer than the score was, probably, and then the score got close too. After Enriquez gives up a run, suddenly, like when in the 9th inning, Tanner Scott went to a 3-1 count on whoever that last batter was. Who was it? Alec Bohm? I don't remember.
Bohm, yeah.
Whoever it was. It's like crap. If he walks, suddenly the tying run is in the batter's box. So it was close enough that you could be a little bit nervous, but yeah, it was just kind of ho hum. It was fun. Like for me, a series like this, we talked about it the other day, you and me, about how we can't really ask for a sweep of this series. You can ask for a series win. Winning the first game of a 3-game series is such a big deal because now you just got to win one of the next 2. It's really, even though the Dodgers just did it against the Padres and the Brewers, losing the first game and still winning the series, it's it's less of an uphill battle to win the first game. And now you can win tomorrow. Andrew Painter is a good prospect, but has been really bad the last several starts. And so if they can beat him tomorrow, then you're playing with house money. You already won the series, and you can try to beat Jesus Luzardo to sweep the series, get greedy on Sunday. But like the fact that they have a chance to win this series tomorrow is a big deal when you're looking at the big picture of what the Dodgers' goals are in this series.
And when we're looking at the big picture of ending the month of May, this has been a wild month. Because just a few weeks ago, we were talking about how this team, or at least the narrative was being brought up. Is this team actually kind of bad? They were struggling, played really poorly against the Rockies. And then I forgot what the series was after that, but didn't look much better.
Giants.
It was the Giants. Yeah. Losing a couple of the Giants there. And then, you start winning a couple games, you sweep the Angels, and then you lose that first game to the Padres. And like, oh, here we go. Here the Dodgers suck. Everything is the worst. And then they win those two games, and now you're starting to flip to the other side where you're winning the first game of series, and then you're putting yourselves in position to sweep, or at the bare minimum take the series. This is where we're good. This is why the Dodgers are good, and why we preach so often to not panic early in the season, because a lot of the time it is just one game, and maybe there's one game after that and another game 2 games later that's rough, but they're a very good baseball team, man, and we're seeing what they can and should look like, even without, nowhere near being at full strength. You still don't have Snell, you don't have Glass now, you don't have Teo now, you don't have Kike, who came back and was on fire. We do got some other roster moves we'll talk about shortly, but I'll let you wrap it up, and then I'm going to tell people about IQ Bar, and then we'll talk about all the roster moves. But any final thoughts about this particular game or the series, or what I was just talking about there with, the kind of narrative of May? Nailed it.
I was just reminded, do you remember the dumbest baseball controversy of all time last October when the Dodgers were flying to Philadelphia, or maybe it was after they beat the Phillies and we're flying to Milwaukee, and they tweeted out "wheels up" like they do every time they're flying anywhere. And Phillies fans took it as a personal shot against Zach Wheeler, making fun of his health condition, because they think that they own the phrase "wheels up" that everybody has used every time they've ever taken a flight anywhere. I totally forgot about that until just now. Allie in our Discord just said "wheels up." I think Allie actually was picking on Zach Wheeler, and that reminded me of when the Dodgers absolutely weren't. Phillies fans think the whole world revolves around that.
It's like it was a plane. It was a plane. And Dodgers social team, they are not those kind of people. They are not going to attack another team for a injured player. They don't play that game. Yeah. Anyways, that's a fun little reminder. Hey, you guys, you remember when they won that series, by the way, the Dodgers?
Ryan Kirkland remembers.
Oh, he's going to remember forever.
Hyeseong Kim was on the roster back then.
Hold on,
there's a segue for you.
Before that, do we want to do that, or we want to look ahead to tomorrow real quick? Because Luzardo is official now. Luzardo is pitching tomorrow? So it's Luzardo versus Roki Sasaki tomorrow. That became official. Jesus Lizard, another one of their very, very good pitchers there in that Phillies rotation. Luckily, as we mentioned, we do miss Christopher Sanchez, who's by far and away their ace, but we're facing ace 2 with Luzardo, and then also Zach Wheeler is a very good pitcher. Looking at the FanDuel, this is one of them tight games with Roki on the bump. People still not having a lot of faith in Roki Sasaki. Dodgers still favorites, minus 120 on the FanDuel. Presenting sponsor here at All Dodgers, the Phillies at plus 102. That over-under number is always at 8.5. But, Dodgers still favorites, but going to need another one of those good games against Roki.
Do we know who's pitching Sunday for the Phillies? Or are they just bumping every? Because Aaron Nola is off on paternity leave.
It's Painter. It's Painter and Yamamoto.
Oh, so they just flip-flop.
Yeah.
Painter and interesting. So they basically what they're saying is we already think we're going to lose the game that Andrew Painter pitches, and we think we're going to lose the game that Yoshinobu Yamamoto pitches. So we might as well put them in the same game and see if we can put our good pitcher against Roki Sasaki and try to win that game.
Trying to get just one guy. But yeah, this is the latest on MLB.com and over on FanDuel, by the way. Thank you, FanDuel, for being a presenting sponsor of the show. Yeah, I'd like to see Roki do good. We might post game for that one tomorrow as well. So, guys, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, do all that stuff. Hit that notification bell so you can know when we are going live. We also generally alert people when we're going live in our Patreon, in our Discord, which you can get to by supporting the show on Patreon or clicking the join button here on YouTube. Scan that QR code, click the link in the description. $5 a month. You support myself, Jeff, and Kevin, but you also get access to a really good community of crazy people that we love in the Discord. Well, I love Jeff. Sometimes he's
I love him. I just don't always like him.
All right, let's get to
from my parents enough.
Let's get to the good stuff. The moves on moves, and we have a super chat I want to use to cue us into this one. Where are you at? This is where the hell? There you are, Isaiah, with the $5 super chat earlier in the show. Thank you very much, Isaiah, for setting this up. Thoughts on Hyeseong Kim being set down? He's not struggling like Robert suggests. Has timely hitting. Only thing is he strikes out more than we want. Listen, I'm going to say, Isaiah, you have your own free will. You can have your opinion that he is not struggling. He has been struggling. I think he's hitting like $170 over his last couple of weeks. And what they said, and we were talking about this too, when I yelled at people on Wednesday night, for saying that we're Hyeseong Kim haters. It's like, no, the Dodgers are Dave is kind of like I wouldn't say a hater, but the writing was on the wall that they were going, if Kike didn't get injured, they were going to send Hyeseong Kim down. Like Alex Freeland, according to several sources, was already told to be en route. And then Kike got hurt and became the move. They did not like what they were seeing with Hyeseong Kim swing-wise. It was getting long. He's striking out a bunch. Pop, I know you got the numbers there. What has he been at for the season and, more importantly, of recent vintage?
Yeah, his last 16 games, his season OPS has gone from 800, which is good, to 651, which is bad. How do you go that far in 16 games? Well, you bat 174 with a 424 OPS, 174 with a 174 slugging. The 8 hits he did have in those 53 plate appearances were all singles, 250 on base percentage during that time, and a strikeout rate at over 30%. What's 17 strikeouts and 53 plate appearances? I know 17 and 51 would be 33%, but so it's probably like 32%. Let's see. 32.1%.
Less than ideal.
Remember, that's basically 10 percentage points above the league average. League average is around 22.1-ish. So striking out 10% more often, not 10% more, 10 percentage points more often. So like 1.5 times as often as the average hitter. That's really what it boils down to. Because while he did have a couple hits, including, he had 3 RBIs in that time. So you can absolutely point to 3 at-bats during that rough stretch to see, he came through. Yeah. And that's why you got to look at the bigger picture and not just individual at-bats, because you can look at any game and say, I remember Luis Cruz being really good for 2 weeks, once upon a time. Mm-hmm. Turns out Luis Cruz wasn't good either, like you look at the bigger picture and say, oh yeah, Hyeseong Kim was absolutely struggling. And so if their goal is for him to get better at hitting again,
mm-hmm.
Where is he more likely to do that? Yeah. On the major league bench or in the AAA lineup? I don't think you learn how to hit by not hitting. I think you remember how to hit by hitting. And so AAA is where it's got to happen, because he wasn't going to get the regular at-bats in the big leagues right now because he didn't deserve them right now.
Yeah.
And none of that is to say that Alex Freeland does deserve them. This is a conversation about Hyeseong Kim, and a lot of people have a hard time. It's like a presidential election where it's like, you can't talk about your candidate. You have to talk about why the other candidate sucks. If we're talking just about Hyeseong Kim, we may be wishing there was a better option to be replacing him in the lineup. But if we're just talking about Kim, it's hard to deny the fact that over the last 3 weeks, he has not earned a spot in the lineup.
And meanwhile, for I think the majority of the time Freeland was down to AAA, he was hitting and showing at least some signs of promise. But I feel like this is less about Freeland hitting and more about one of the things Dave said was that Kim's swing changed. And I'm going to try to find that tweet to pop it up here on the screen. This was another one from Jack Harris saying, they're sending him down to get him back on track. But there was something about the swing had changed. It looked like, I don't know exactly what they mean by that. I mean, he might have been trying to sell out for a little bit of slug, maybe getting a little more uppercutty, but it was getting away from some of the changes that they had tried to implement in the offseason. And, for the greater part of the start of his very short season, it looked like it was working. Like he was hitting the ball well. He was finding some gaps, line drives, hit the whole thing with Hyeseong Kim. And you got those wheels, find grass quickly and run. He doesn't need to be hitting fly balls, and my God, he doesn't do anything when you're striking out.
Yeah.
So
he needs to be hitting fair balls is what he needs to be doing, and that's what he didn't do enough of.
Yeah.
Fair balls, he will find grass, he will get infield singles. Maybe they'll have him working on bunting for hits too in AAA. I know, because that is definitely something a lefty with his speed. It's a skill set he should have. Mm-hmm. Mr. 91 Jamie in the chat said both Kim and Freeland are mediocre and won't be on the playoff roster with Kike and Edman healthy. I just admire his optimism that Kike and Edman are both going to be healthy in October. So it could happen.
Cross everything you got to make that one happen and hope that happens. But we also hope that, maybe this is a good wake-up call. Maybe Kim is able to get back on track from this stint at AAA. Obviously, nobody really wants this. The team is better with a good hitting or a Hyeseong Kim that can get on base. And I think one of the things that really does, paint a picture in people's minds that he is doing better than he actually is one of the things I have said time and time again over the last few weeks is that he's finding a way to make impacts on or make his impact on different games, whether it be, we know what he can do with the glove and the arm and all that kind of stuff. You saw him in left field, playing there for the first time as Teo got hurt, but he's earning some walks. He was scoring some runs. The hits he was getting seemed to be for the greater part pretty timely. Not that they were bringing in a lot of runs, but they were starting a bigger part of an inning or keeping a bigger part of an inning going. But when you look at the totality of that 2-week stretch, and they're seeing regression in the swing and. Would you say OPS was 4 and change? Is that what it was?
Or something. Yeah.
No, it's for his benefit to send him down, get him.
Sorry,
back
424. I gave him 50 extra points.
Wow.
Yeah, and the other thing that people are upset about, which is understandable, but also the reasoning makes sense, is that they re-signed Santiago Espinal, who they just DFA'd, and every other team in the league said no thank you. That's why he was available to be re-signed. And so, and you can look at the numbers. This year in the major leagues, Hyeseong Kim has an 87 OPS plus. Santiago Espinal has a 70 OPS plus. Hyeseong Kim has been better than Santiago Espinal. And so people are like, why would you, so that's why people think that this is about hating Kim. Mm-hmm. But for me, this is so much evidence that the Dodgers value Kim.
Yeah.
And that they value what he can be a part of in the future for them, because the only way he's going to help them win is if he remembers how to hit, if he can get that strikeout rate down and get the swing to the point where he has a chance to be an effective hitter. And like I said, that's not going to happen sitting on the bench. And the role available right now is sitting on the bench and playing once a week. And even then, like playing once a week is playing against a lefty to play for Max Muncy once a week, which isn't a role that Kim fits either. Kim doesn't fit the role that they needed. Santiago Espinal does. Hey, we need a guy who sucks and whose development we don't care about, who can technically put on a glove and play once in a while, but we don't feel bad just letting him rot on the bench most of the time.
Yeah.
That's Santiago Espinal. And Santiago Espinal is like, I can get a paycheck and not even have to play baseball for it. Sweet. I can earn a World Series ring by playing once a week. Great. It's win-win for both of them. Obviously, everybody wants to be in the major leagues for paycheck reasons and for prestige reasons and for confidence reasons. But the best chance for Hyeseong Kim to be a big part of the Dodgers winning the World Series for a third straight year is for him to go to Oklahoma City, play every day, and get enough at bats to get his swing right.
And this is one of those moves too that shows the type of gonads the Dodgers organization has, the front office has, because they are willing to make their big league roster just a little bit worse for a little while, at least statistically, by the player, because as solid as Espinal has been in short work and was starting to do a little bit more the last couple of times he had starts. I think his final start, he had his first homer in like 3 years or 2 years or something like that. They are willing to sacrifice that to let Kim go down to AAA and get right. Hopefully get right. Raul in the chat bringing up also a really good point to shout out Kim, this because it was huge. Kim did his part to play shortstop while Mookie was hurt. Just need to revamp the swing. I was looking at the numbers off of that. So as a shortstop, Kim hit 288 with a 737 OPS, which for him is really good. He's not going to have a lot of slug. He is going to be your old school D. Gordon, Juan Pierre, or a best case scenario, Luis Ariz type of player where the OPS is never going to love him. The weighted runs created plus is never going to love him because he's not going to slug. But where he's going to make his mark is in hitting 300 and having an on base, somewhere around 350 to 370. That's what he's going to do. And he was not doing that. So
Nicole in the chat says to trade Kim to a team that will give him a role if he's not a fit on the Dodgers. The fact is there is not a team in Major League Baseball that will give a role to a guy striking out a third of the time with no power. If you're striking out that much, you have to be hitting home runs and not hitting occasional singles. I guess if you were getting hits like in half of your non-strikeouts, you could still be valuable. But no, there is not a trade partner right now for Hyeseong Kim, even if the Dodgers wanted to trade him, which they don't because they do value him. They do want him to be a fit. It's up to him to become a fit again. It's not as easy as just trade him then.
Nicole also had another good point. Like Kim 100% has more utility than Espinal, and Espinal better have brought in his brief moment away from the team. Hopefully he packed his outfield glove because he's going to need to learn to play some outfield because they are going to be stretched pretty thin right now in the outfield. With you're going to have Alex Call, you're going to have Ryan Ward potentially suiting up and playing some left field at times. They're not in an advantageous position in the outfield right now with this roster, and not having Kim definitely made it a little bit worse, but I think they will be okay. I think they will survive, and then hopefully Kim can hit his way back. And there's also there seems to be this over the last 2 years, I feel like there is this general misconception with Hyeseong Kim that when they signed him kind of out of nowhere last January, I think it was, that people assumed or presumed, the Dodgers are signing him. This is going to be the new starting everyday second baseman. When the team outright said best case scenario, not best case scenario. Our vision for him is to be a utility guy. Vassay was screaming that very loudly. They signed him to play some left field, to play some short, to play some second base, maybe a little bit of center field, but not play every day. He was supposed to be, Korean CT3 for this team. And he hasn't lived up to it yet.
When that dumb Cubs Instagrammer who Noah Ortega has a crush on, she went on a rant about the Dodgers signing Hyeseong Kim because clearly she didn't know that he and Hyeseong Kim were two different people. Mm-hmm. She's like, how do the Dodgers just sign everybody? This just isn't fair. It's like, you never heard of this guy before today. You just think you have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he wasn't signed to be a starter anywhere. He was signed because, hey, there's some tools there that maybe we could turn him into a good big leaguer. And that's going to mean some minor league time here and there. And This is one of those here and there's.
And let's also point out the fact he didn't have a lot of major league options. It was the Dodgers and the Angels. The Angels offered him more money, but he wanted to come to the Dodgers because he grew up a Dodger fan, all of that kind of stuff. You know a bit of his story, but also the Dodgers are a significantly better organization than the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, of already sell the team. Anyways, a lot of people, a lot of discourse, a lot of super chats. We're going to fire into these right now. We got Francisco with the $4.99 in the super chat department saying, I just want to live in a world where both Kim and Freeland are good. They're definitely part of the future. Just got to trust the process. They're part of the future in some capacity. I don't know if it's ever going to be in any sort of everyday role. But if these guys can be sort of heir apparents to the Kike CT3 era that made the Dodgers, helped the Dodgers be so successful over this last decade, that would be massive. But they got to show some work, some improvement, I guess.
I need to address, it's not a super chat. Clipper Nick in the chat said Dodgers traded Gavin Lux away for scraps to give Hyeseong Kim a spot, too. First of all, the Lux trade had nothing to do with Kim. Second of all, the guy the Dodgers got for Lux is now one of the top outfield prospects in baseball and a legit future major league center fielder with power. That ain't scraps. That's Mike Sirota. Put that on a shirt. That ain't scraps. That's Mike Sirota. That would be a good looking shirt.
Garm. We really probably at some point got to make some Garm there. Raul with the $4.99 super chat said Kim legacy is tearing Dave Roberts' hamstring before Game 6. Yeah, honestly. And I do like if I'm one of those morons that likes the vibes that Kike brings and think that's something tangible, which it is. It's tangible to the everyday, ebbs and flows of a locker room. Kim brought a lot to that clubhouse as well. And, again, the organization would strongly prefer he be able to match his vibes or match his hitting to the vibes he brings to the table.
Everybody in the organization wants Hyeseong Kim to play well enough to be in the big leagues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, stop hammering that home. I think we've hammered that home so very much. It's not even a nuanced topic. It's just people.
And for fair coverage, yes, we also hope Alex Freeland remembers how to hit swing too.
I will say openly, I think Alex Freeland is not very good.
I can't wait till Tommy Edman comes back.
Yes.
And Tommy Edman's not a great hitter either.
We will start having those conversations about a month from now when he's had a few weeks under his belt at the major league level. Oh man, we still got 2 more years of this guy.
But he probably won't strike out much at least.
Yeah. Maybe he'll have a healthy ankle and feel better. Ray gives us the $1.99 super chat with no comment, as he does, because he just wants to be supportive, and we appreciate Ray for that. Juhas in the chat, $5 in regards to Kim. A bad player can be like a broken clock, to be right twice a day. Send him down, fix the swing. As we're going to give him the clap for that. Dirty Don with the $4.99 super chat says A-Rod and Mike Trout have been sent. Where'd you go? Sent down ain't the end of the world.